I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Hello, friends. The Ukrainian Mosquito operators are conducting a thorough inspection of an agricultural warehouse to make sure there are no hidden invaders in any corner. It seems everything is fine, there are no tourists anywhere, but wait, what about that panel in the corner? There you were, Ivan, deputinization is coming. Do you recall that in January we showed a video of a group of Russians training with portable toilets as camouflage against drone thermal cameras? Well, gentlemen, we have the first video of a Z assault group using these same portable toilets to try to infiltrate the positions of a brigade of the Ukrainian border guard. So they were greeted with the usual drone honor guard, who proceeded to demilitarize them quickly. Some say they're not portable toilets, but Z burkas, so look into it. And no, they're 100% Temu toilets, totally confirmed. A column of 7 quads from the Horde gathered to try to launch an attack against the town of Ryazme in Sumy Oblast on the morning of May 30. Unbeknownst to them, the defenders were watching closely and sent a large group of drones to welcome them to the area. It can be seen that it was an intense encounter, but a very brief one. The Intelligence Directorate of the Defenders, Ukraine, has published new footage of its elite special unit, Primary, at work. This time, carrying out no less than 5 precision strikes with strategic attack drones against Russian military freight trains in Crimea during April of this year. The attacks hit moving locomotives that were transporting military supplies and fuel for frontline units, causing fires that disrupted the supply lines supporting Russian operations on the peninsula. The footage released on May 6 clearly demonstrates the unit's ability to operate deep behind enemy lines and the lack of sufficient air defense systems to protect the logistical lines that the Z troops at the front depend on. In that regard, there are multiple reports of ammunition supply problems in several units that have forced delays in attacks against Ukrainian lines. Additionally, these types of attacks often force the use of alternative routes, causing delays and further stretching the already limited activity of Russian air defense systems. This is powerful. On May 8, 2026, the 1st Azov Army Corps released a video showing the operations of its reconnaissance and attack drones flying over the city of Mariupol and its surroundings. This city is where Azov was born and fought their most heroic battles. So now, at least in spirit, they have returned to their city, which is remarkable because their operators are patrolling areas that are 160 kilometers behind the front line, identifying and attacking. What about the Horde's logistics and personnel inside and outside the city? Here comes another interesting point because the defenders are mainly using Hornet-type kamikaze drones, which are fixed-wing aircraft, and they were developed by the American company Perennial Autonomy, led by former Google executives, which has added artificial intelligence agents to its birds, capable of carrying out the mission to carry out the terminal attack run autonomously, allowing greater effectiveness against moving targets and better resistance to the Horde's electronic warfare systems. According to the footage, the main target of this swarm is military trucks transporting cargo, fuel, troops, and equipment along the roads in the occupied area, with the clear objective of creating an exclusion zone where the movement of the invaders' logistics is not allowed. Watching the video, we can see that the Hornet-type drones have enough range to patrol over the city and its surroundings, searching for suitable targets, which they can attack with great precision, even in broad daylight. It's also impressive how they move with impunity through notable points of the city like the Azovstal metallurgical plant, the city center, and the Mariupol theater, where so many civilians met their end due to the horde's airstrikes. The fact that the Azov swarm has the ability to fly and persistently monitor the city will force the invaders to operate at night, disperse their convoys, and increase their air defense escort vehicles, which leads to greater resource consumption. Additionally, the psychological and symbolic effect is important, since Azov, which heroically defended Mariupol in 2022, symbolically returns to the skies over its home city. This will undoubtedly raise the morale of their troops, and it is a direct challenge to the control of the area that the occupiers claim to have. Now, Mariupol is a key logistical hub because of its port and the land routes that cross it and supply the invading troops on the Zaporizhia and Donetsk fronts, where the Russians are already facing serious logistical problems. That's why I believe it's likely that Azov will increase the frequency and depth of these raids, just as they are already doing in the city of Donetsk. Changing the subject, the birds of the 414th Unmanned Systems Brigade bring us a new summary of their weekly work. Starting with a close-up of an African mercenary enjoying his first, and probably last, encounter with Ukraine's local mutant mosquitoes. It's a shame his bosses didn't teach him to use the invisibility cloak he was dragging, but honestly, it wouldn't have helped him much. This latest installment offers a masterclass on what happens when waves of enthusiastic recruits from the invading horde encounter the dense swarms of warrior mosquitoes. I must say, you can't help but admire the commitment of these illegal tourists to keep visiting the picturesque fields of Donbass, which they like so much that they end up joining them forever. While most regular tourists are content with buying expensive souvenirs and trying local dishes, the Z Invaders have chosen the luxury package, which includes unlimited excursions through the frontline gray zone and generous doses of fresh air, in addition to a mandatory adventure sports event where they have to test if they can run faster than the Ukrainian mosquitoes. Not only are they slower, but they have to resort to what we could describe as interpretive field maneuvers with remarkable displays of invader contortionism. This record is yet another example of how Putler's special military operation turned into an expensive game of hide-and-seek, where Ivan always loses, but still holds on to the hope of gaining one more square meter of land. Well, that will be the meter where he'll end up lying down, taking his special nap. I know that some of you sometimes feel a bit of pity for the poor orcs who are the stars of these recurring videos. But remember that these big productions have a clear purpose, which is to show potential recruits for the army. What really awaits them when they decide to sign the contract to come and invade their neighbors? Those who really have no interest in welcoming them to their land, not even as help for the future sunflower crops that will someday bloom again in the prairies of Donbass. Meanwhile, the illegal tourists have no right to refunds, and the local wildlife continues to provide new photos of their adventures in Ukraine. Smile, Ivan, you're on television. Hello, friends. A drone operator from the 1st Azov Army Corps turns a corner and comes across a group of invaders holding a coordination meeting before launching their attack on the defenders' positions, taking advantage of the darkness of the night. Let's just say that this illegal activity was swiftly dealt with. What a great way to start the night shift. In a brief sequence, we can see the first test of a Ukrainian FP-2 attack drone launching an unguided air-to-surface rocket at a mobile Russian air defense group during a nighttime attack in Crimea. This is the first known use of unguided air-to-surface rockets from Ukrainian aerial drones. The goal seems to be to clear the way for the swarm, destroying or disabling the invaders' mobile air defense groups before launching attacks on their targets. The invaders published some photographs showing fragments of the rockets used by the drone, which appear to be 57mm S-5 unguided air rockets. The same sources reported that each drone carried 2 launchers with 4 rockets mounted under the wings, meaning a total of 8 rockets. I'm sure Ivan the Pirate is going to really enjoy this new innovation from the defenders. An invader decided it would be a great idea to have a duel with a Mosquito, so he started shooting at it with his rifle. To give him a chance, the Mosquito calmly approached his position, but Ivan seemed to be nervous for some reason. The Unmanned Systems Battalion also takes advantage of an invader being at home to send 2 high-explosive messages to his quarters, another example of the high density of the swarm that relentlessly pursues the invaders on the front line. We continue with the robots, this time ground-based, as the fighters of the 100th Mechanized Brigade of the National Guard. A few weeks ago, they used robots to eliminate 8 Russian soldiers from a sabotage and reconnaissance team who had infiltrated an abandoned building in Konstantinovka. Thanks to the interception of their radio signals, it was learned that they were former convicts who had received special training and whose objective was to carry out sabotage and terror operations. However, they were followed by a reconnaissance drone from the 100th Brigade. Not far from that building was the position of the fighters from one of the brigade's battalions, but their numbers were insufficient to neutralize the infiltration platoon. That's why the brigade command quickly developed a unique plan, which was essentially a robotic assault against the saboteurs' position. 3 robotic systems were used, one of which acted as a decoy to draw the attention of the invaders, who received heavy suppressive fire from the robot, while another slipped around the back of the factory with a payload of no less than 300 kilos of high explosives. At the last moment, the orcs realized the danger and managed to throw themselves into the elevator shaft. At that moment, the explosion occurred, causing the building to collapse and trapping the raiders beneath the ruins. Meanwhile, the soldiers of the brigade at the nearby position surrounded the destroyed building, where they received a logistical delivery from the 3rd robot that included anti-tank mines. The remaining orcs were offered a chance to surrender, but they responded with gunfire, so the defenders had no choice but to throw anti-tank mines configured as demolition charges at them, which finished off the group of invaders. The attack destroyed the Russian position, stopping them from establishing a forward base in the city. No Ukrainian personnel were put at risk during the neutralization operation. This is the future of urban warfare, where ground drones can carry out precise and high-impact attacks while preserving the valuable lives of Ukrainian soldiers. On the technological front, President Zelensky met on May 12 in Kiev with the CEO of Palantir Technologies Alex Karp, to enhance the integration of advanced artificial intelligence into the operations of the armed forces of Ukraine. The Minister of Defense, Mikhail Fedorov, also took part in the talks, and they discussed initiatives that are already delivering concrete results, such as artificial intelligence systems for analyzing the air attack patterns of the horde, processing large volumes of intelligence data in real time, and optimizing the planning of deep strike operations in the invader's rear areas, all fields where we have already seen results. One of the key initiatives is the Brave One Data Room platform, developed jointly with Palantir. This is a secure platform that provides defense developers with access to real data compiled on the battlefield, including images and telemetry of threats such as Shahed drones, information that is used to train expert artificial intelligence models. More than 100 companies are currently developing over 80 models focused on detecting and intercepting aerial targets in complex conditions, which is expected to improve the effectiveness of Ukraine's air defense. Anyone in IT will immediately understand how valuable it is to have such a significant database to develop a solution. Now, Palantir is not just any American company, as it is a leader in data analytics and artificial intelligence, with a market capitalization of approximately $330 billion. And it has been providing support to Ukraine since its CEO's initial visit to Kiev in June 2022. This collaboration allows Ukraine's unique combat data to be leveraged as a real testing ground, transforming frontline combat experience into technological advantages that can be quickly implemented. This collaboration shows us how modern warfare has changed, and now AI-driven data fusion and autonomous systems offer decisive advantages in decision-making speed and precision in responding to invaders' attacks. Palantir's software processes raw intelligence information from various sources, such as drones, satellites, Ukrainian personnel on the ground, as well as radars capable of seeing through clouds and thermal images, which detect troop movements and artillery fire. Artificial intelligence agents analyze this information and present Ukrainian officers with the most effective options in real time to attack and counter enemy positions and columns. These models also learn and improve with each attack. An example of the results this program is producing is the automatic target tracking system from the Dutch company Fiducial Defense, which uses a combination of computer vision to identify the presence of Shahed drones and which was tested through the Test in Ukraine program. This software is already integrated into the Ukrainian interceptor drone Spitfire, which during nighttime interception tests demonstrated high efficiency in detection, tracking, and automatic interception of aerial targets. The experts in anti-drone systems present at the tests pointed out that they had not seen solutions of this caliber before, praising the system's precision, adaptability, and autonomy in environments with high electronic interference. This technology allows interceptor drones to operate with minimal human intervention in target acquisition, while keeping the final attack decisions under the operator's control. To conclude, a resident of the Mortarite Federation sends a heartfelt message to his compatriots, in which he says, "Today, on this Victory Day, I want to congratulate my beloved Russia for becoming what it once fought against. And the Russia that now resembles the Third Reich is not my Russia. Wow, it seems that some people are starting to wake up." Hello, friends. In this footage, we see the driver of a Ukrainian Iveco Puma 6x6 reconnaissance vehicle. This vehicle was originally designed for the light infantry, airborne, and amphibious regiments of the Italian army, with the mission of transporting a 6-man infantry team, in addition to a 2-person crew with their respective equipment. In the case of the Ukrainian Pumas, they have been equipped with a full anti-drone cage and heavy Browning M2 HV machine guns, 12.7 mm mounted on a manually operated turret above the commander's position. Italy has quietly transferred Pumas in the 4x4 and 6x6 versions, which have been seen in service with the 81st Airmobile Brigade and the 79th Air Assault Brigade, who use them in position rotation and armed reconnaissance missions. I'm not sure if the driver in the video is actually the one in charge of driving the vehicle in combat, but she seems to be quite familiar with this system. Although it wouldn't be unusual, since more than 70,000 women serve in the armed forces of the defenders in different roles, including as drivers. A Ukrainian drone inspects a drainage pipe under a road behind the front lines to make sure there are no orc nests. It turns out the invaders stored mortar ammo there, which he then puts into party mode. You can't leave any hole uninspected because you never know what you might find. An innovation that seems to be spreading is the use of hunter drones equipped with shotguns, which the defenders of the Minions team use to eliminate the observation and attack drones of the Horde in their sector. This innovation lets you eliminate the invaders' eyes without losing any of one of your own drones. If you had told me 4 years ago that I'd be watching videos of Ukrainian drones with shotguns shooting at swarms of Russian drones, I would have laughed. And yet, here we are. The defenders are testing a Ratel H ground drone to operate as a launch platform for fiber optic attack drones. This integration turns the Ratel H into a ground-based aircraft carrier capable of carrying up to 4 attack drones into high-risk areas, where it can remain hidden until an intruder appears who needs attention. This allows for attacks with greater autonomy, reducing the exposure of operator teams and lessening the effect of electronic warfare systems that the enemy is so fond of using. The first test flights in the combat zone took place in February 2026, and starting this month, they are already carrying out combat missions with confirmed hits against equipment and soldiers of the Z-Horde. The carrier module is modular, so it can be installed on a standard Ratel H without any special modifications, meaning the same chassis can be used for logistics, evacuation, and now for launching air attacks. It basically increases the system's usefulness without extra cost. The 475th Assault Regiment, with the curious name Code 9.2 of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, released a video showing the use of attack drones equipped with autonomous target acquisition systems acting against Russian logistical vehicles on the Julia and Pole front. In the footage, we can see how the drone is already in autonomous mode, confirmed by the red target tracking boxes that autonomously track the trucks and tactical Bukankas in real time as they are being stalked. This technology drastically reduces the operator's intervention in the terminal phase of the mission, which increases the precision and effectiveness of the defenders' attacks on the supply lines of the Z-Horde on the southern front. The Code 9.2 Regiment evolved from a specialized unmanned observation systems unit into a full assault regiment that has established itself as one of Ukraine's most innovative units. The unit regularly participates in mechanized assaults and deep attacks against Russian logistics and radars in the Julia and Pole area. The incorporation of terminal guidance systems with artificial intelligence allows fewer operators to guide and supervise the attack of entire drone swarms, which no longer need a separate pilot for each drone. This will allow increased pressure against the rear of Army Group Z operating in Zaporizhia. On May 12th, units of the 24th Mechanized Brigade, in close coordination with the Rayrog unit, launched a precise and devastating attack against a column of infantry from the Horde that was openly advancing towards Chasiv Yar from the direction of Bakhmut. Reconnaissance quickly detected the group of more than 20 invaders moving without cover along a road, so their operators gave them a warm reception. Coordinating artillery fire and a drone swarm strike, they managed to neutralize the threat with great effectiveness, once again frustrating another Russian attempt to continue advancing on this axis. The invaders were kind enough to bring their own GoPro cameras, which captured for posterity the last moments of the occupiers under Ukrainian fire. There were no defender casualties, just lots of laughter. This action is a classic example of successful active defense, which includes continuous reconnaissance that generates timely intelligence to call in precise defensive fire. This combat doesn't alter the strategic balance, but it steadily weakens the invaders' assault capabilities in the sector. On May 5, 2026, the Ukrainian Special Operations Forces, specifically Deep Strike drone units, carried out a coordinated series of precision drone raids against Russian logistical, command, and support targets in the occupied territories of Donetsk, Luhansk, and Zaporizhzhia Oblasts, as well as inside Russian territory in Belgorod Oblast. These attacks were carried out immediately before the unilateral ceasefire announced by Ukraine in the context of the Victory Day commemorations in Mordor, which was celebrated on May 9th. The main targets were ammunition depots, logistics centers, repair bases, a tactical command post, maintenance facilities, and a site for the deployment of Russian drones. The attacks demonstrate Ukraine's ability to strike targets deep in the rear, located more than 100 kilometers from the front line, using locally produced medium-range unmanned systems. The forces of the invading Horde front rely heavily on forward depots and maintenance centers near the front to sustain their attritional offensive in the Donbass. For this reason, strikes on ammunition depots and logistical support centers force them to relocate their supplies farther away, increasing delivery times and exposing their logistics columns. In addition, they have to send frontline resources to defend the rear and rebuild damaged facilities, all of which temporarily reduces the intensity of the invading artillery's fire, which cannot support their assault infantry attacks. In particular, the destruction of the maintenance base in Mykolaiv will affect the operational availability of tanks, infantry transports, and self-propelled artillery. For its part, the destruction of the command center in Sviatotroitska disrupts the observation, decision, and action cycle of the local commanders at the tactical level. If you want more content about the war in Ukraine, visit our 2 new channels for information in a different format. Don't forget to check them out. Remember to visit our Patreon, where for just $1, you'll have access to a large number of uncensored videos and documentaries. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel